here for the Lakers offseason. So let's start right there. What's the approach LA's taken this summer?
Well, we'll have to see, right? So let's start with the Luka Dončić part. Luka, the good news is that he is fully healthy. I'm told he's a full go. He's able to do full basketball activities. He's been cleared since May 28th. Now, that's about 2 weeks after the playoffs ended for the Lakers, so it wasn't like he had any chance of returning against the Thunder, but he should be able to come in fully healthy for his second full season with the Lakers. Now, since he was traded from the Mavericks to the Lakers, I had a source tell me close to Doncic that they've been, wants to be a part of a championship team yesterday. Ever since the trade, they always told us summer of 2026 will show you in the summer of 26. So here we are, so excited that the summer of 26 is here. In a way, that's putting the pressure solely on the Lakers front office. We're going to do our part. We were the leading scorer in the NBA this year. We were the MVP of the league. We're going to be fully healthy coming into next year. Now, give me a roster that I can win a championship with.
All right. Interestingly enough, let's bring in Bobby now to this conversation. So, Bobby, it sounds like there's a lot Luka's expecting here, based on Dave's reporting here. So, how can LA kind of pull this all off, especially with the possibility of LeBron still joining the team as well?
I think, George, there's probably two different ways that you can look at it, whether the Lakers want to act as a cap space team and where does the number look like after LeBron signs. We're projecting them roughly around $50 million. So let's say if he signs for 30, that doesn't really get you much in free agency, $20 million in cap space, certainly in this market of, centers that, contain the two of the best centers are restricted in Jalen Duren and Walker Kessler here. And then there's the other option, which is probably the more optionality-wise, the best way to go is to act over the cap, where you would bring back LeBron James and certainly players like Luke Kennard, and we'll see what happens with Rui Hachimura. And then that basically opens up a lot of different ways you can go from the trade standpoint, where maybe you can package Jared Vanderbilt and DeAndre Ayton, who's got that player option, and go out and get a $28 to $30 million player, and you've got those two future picks along with the pick this year's draft. So that gives you a lot more flexibility there. So as I said, two different options. The cap space game is a little bit more dangerous just because there's not that much out there in free agency.
Ramona?
Yeah, there's not that much out there in free agency, and the two guys that you'd probably want are restricted free agents, and that's really dangerous, right? Jalen Duren and Walker Kessler.
Yeah. A-list centers, as Dave reported today.
Okay?
Yes.
All right, well, they're restricted, so what does that mean? It means you sign them to an offer sheet and somebody can match that.
Well, and they've got 48 hours where their money's tied up, too.
Tied up. So you could wait and you could sign them to an offer sheet and then their current team could match it and then you got nobody.
Right.
And the other centers are off the board. And so I think, as Bobby mentioned, the most likely thing is that you either do a sign and trade for one of those guys or you do a trade for another center into your cap space. And every conversation I had with the Lakers, I felt like the option of using the cap space for a trade is very much in play because there's a lot of centers out there that they've been scouting all year long.
Now, the sign and trade part of it, can we bring Bobby back here? The sign and trade part of that, how does that potentially make things either more difficult potentially for them? Where are they capped at that point if that happens?
Well, yeah, I mean, really the sign and trade restriction comes in if you're kind of a high spending team, because then you get hard capped at the first apron. They're nowhere near it. So they do have the flexibility if they want to go out and do it. It's got to be a minimum of a 3-year contract there. So from a flexibility standpoint, yeah, they've got the optionality to do a sign and trade if that's what's on the table.
I can't see Jalen Duren getting away from Detroit. Utah obviously has made an offer, a very strong offer, which Tim McMahon reported was 5 years, almost $140 million to Walker Kessler. He's turned that down, but Utah's turned a lot of things down for Walker Kessler in the past. The Lakers have tried to trade for him. Indiana tried to trade for him last year before they got Zubac, and so you have to think Utah's not letting him go for not a lot of. They want something back for him.
Yeah, I already heard from someone in the Detroit organization today that said, "Hey, tell Luka to leave JD alone." But I reported Luka, even though he's overseas in Slovenia right now, he has been in constant communication with Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick. And the initial, as we alluded to, the initial kind of message that Luka gave to the Lakers is, "Get me an A-list center." And we'll see who fits that bill. Those are the two top restricted free agents we're talking about, Walker Kessler, and certainly Jalen Duren, an all-star who had the best year of his career. But if that's not possible, where do you look to? What becomes A-list?
Are you also saying dominating is not A-list?
Well, I would say that based on my reporting, like if Luka's still asking for an A-list center,
that kind of says everything.
it says that he's not asking for the guy that was the center last
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we saw Time Lord on there. We saw Mitchell Robinson on there. Who knows what'll end up happening? Dave, excellent reporting as always, man. Thanks for the time.